Hi folks, and welcome back to Men of the Infinite. The following presentation consists of an excerpt from the seminal philosophic work Poison for the Heart, written by contemporary philosopher Kevin Solway. On the nature of love, Solway writes, "Much has been spoken of love, and after all has been said, it's clear that love is above all comical. For it's comical that we regard ourselves to be individual and whole, yet do not feel complete without our other half, which must surely make each one of us half a person. We must truly despise selfhood, for we do not desire to be one with ourselves, but only with somebody else. Man in particular regards himself to be a lion of strength and independence, yet he becomes a puppy under the love that destroys selfhood and makes us all the same. He so often feels in control of love, seeing it as a tool for his skillful hands, believing it a game. Yet love comes to control him increasingly and relentlessly until it dictates his every move. He's proud of his ability to shatter alleged mysteries with the power of reason, yet to him both women and love remain total mysteries. Mysteries so overwhelming they have conquered him utterly, for he submitted to them long ago. Woman, on the other hand, sees herself as modest by nature, earthy with feet on the ground, unlike her male counterpart. Yet have you noticed how she makes not the slightest objection when man promotes her to the position of goddess? For when a man loves a woman, she becomes for him the greatest of all things. He sets her up on a pedestal, making himself naught before her, and offering no less than his life. Does she feel a pang of conscience about this untoward attention? Does she refuse it? On the contrary, she feels insulted if man doesn't lay himself at her feet, crying over her infinite beauty and absolute power. Yes, love is truly incredible, but more incredible still is our ignorance of it. For all our intellectual attainments, love remains notably unexplained. If humankind has a worst failing, it would have to be our ignorance about the true nature of love. The lover knows not what love is, nor exactly what it is he loves, nor why he loves. Indeed, our ageless, profound wisdom tells us not to question love, not to spoil what is already perfect. If ignorance about love is your dignity, then much good may it do you. I'll be content as a failure in your eyes, vainly holding to my thought. For if love is a mystery, it is only to those who refuse to think. I hear many of you object that you are not complete Philistines, and that you do in fact contemplate love at length. Well, if your music and reading tastes are anything to go by, you do indeed never stop thinking about love. The problem is you think about love after the fact. First you accept love, then you think about it. You never stop to consider what love is, whether it's right or wrong, real or illusory. Did doubt and reflection die with God? Then let us take a closer look at this love of ours. Who knows what evil dwarves we may find lurking in the nooks and crannies of our hearts? Perhaps love is not the great and unfailing pillar of virtue we are led to believe. Certainly, of the millions in this world deserving of our love, in marriage we choose to give our whole love to a single one. Is that fair? Should we not love all people equally and unreservedly? The grisly fact is we love only for what we get in return. That is, we love what we get in return. We love happiness, and happiness alone. Do you doubt me? Then ask yourself, do you ever love that which brings you unending pain and hardship? Love is an attempt to redress the conflicts and unmet desires of childhood. Consequently, our loved ones tend to be a composite of our family members. It's all to do with ego gratification. We don't love someone because of their goodness, but because they make us feel good. Thus, love comes before morality, and, conveniently, prevents it. Also amazing is the belief that we can avoid possessiveness in love. All too often I hear it said, "Love by all means, but avoid the curse of attachment." As if love and attachment were two separate things. Don't you know that love is attachment, and is therefore the embodiment of possessiveness? Don't you know that your loved ones become your alter body, your alter mind, and your alter self? And just as you would feel possessive of your own eyes if a stranger tried to take them, one feels possessive of love. How little we would enjoy our love if love was not itself attachment. We would need no lover, and when there is no need, there is no caring, no enjoyment, and no purpose for any relationship. And how often I notice our habit of falling in love with our opposites. Curiously, we seem completely unaware of this irrational behaviour. We regard it as normal, seeing no contradiction. Or is it more accurate to say that we perceive nothing wrong with irrational behaviour? Think about it for a moment. Worshipping and devoting yourself to someone whose values are opposite to those you cherish. Falling in love with your enemy. The world calls it sharing. I call it compromise and weakness. Yet there must be tension in a relationship to give love material to work with. There must be conflict in order for each participant to find their own identity and their own joy. That is, some suffering is necessary in love, as love involves playing one lover off against the other through pain. That is, for a couple to be compatible in love, there must be a degree of incompatibility. Thus, in love, the imperfect is held to be perfect. Yes, love needs rough terrain. It needs the challenge of mountain climbs and the thrill of downhill runs. Such activity, however, is not without cost. Bones break when you fall. It must also be said that love expects compromise and sacrifice from the loved one. Yet how foolish is a love in which one has to change who one is, to keep in favour with love. The concept of love as sharing also deserves a second look, for it seems to me that between two beings so radically different as man and woman, no true reciprocal relation is possible. Man and woman have entirely different concepts of love, so there are two loves, and they are so unalike as to deserve different names. The love of woman is devotion. The love of man is to want devotion. Woman gives herself. Man acquires more. I see little scope for sharing in such a relationship. Undeniably, contradictions abound where love is even mentioned. Love is held to be a universal good, yet we find that some loves, strangely, are more acceptable than others. To love one's family is virtuous, yet to love violence is evil. So we tell the young to be cautious where they place their love, which is like trying to tell a cancer that it may infect all parts of the body, except this one particular part. You see, love is so ruinous of mind that once it's created, nothing can stop its destructive course. For all this, love is most comical among the scholars and intellectuals, for here the contradiction is most glaring. They pride themselves on their respect for reason, yet their lives evidence the exact opposite, because love is without doubt the most irrational and nonsensical of all pursuits. To one and all, it's an unknown quantity, yet the intellectuals have no problem with it. This gives one cause to seriously doubt what qualifies them to be guardians of human knowledge. They're quick enough to pounce on a fellow scholar if he has some fault which might distort his judgment. Yet love, that immense and unknown power, is accepted as the linchpin of life without question. To see a serious person, who thinks himself serious, parading in a clown's uniform and behaving as a clown, completely unknown to himself, is comical. It's even more comical when a whole group of serious friends are likewise clowning, unknown to themselves. So are the intellectuals who cannot see the foolishness of their love, continuing about their business as though nothing were wrong, as though they were innocent. Unfortunately, of the rare few in this world who do exercise their brains, only one or two do so in earnest. The rest are mental sportsmen, who think merely for entertainment. These wretches are even worse than brainless animals, for they understand love, yet go along with it regardless. Woe to them who knowingly submit their will to a lie. Their cold and rigid thought cannot cope with something as simple in essence as love. Formal academic thought is biased, and does not provide the power or means to discover the things close to the heart, close to the mind, the subjective truths. Yet without subjective truth there is no truth at all, no matter how many volumes of categories and systems we manage to fill. True objectivity comes only through absolute subjectivity. Only the individual, thinking with his whole being, sees the true and ugly face of love. Then love, for him, becomes impossible. However, this is not the end of it, for he will be swept up by a vast wind, and a new love that will carry him beyond desire. He will discover truth, and love is truth, and true love is being truthful. No longer will he wander aimlessly through the cruel mystery of love, life, and suffering. No longer will he be love's slave, and his life a juggling act with contradictory opposites. He will be free. Well, I thought love was humorous, but I'm not laughing, and nor are you. Is love then too humorous to laugh about? Or perhaps only some truths are funny?